Welcome to Secrets to Alignment with Savannah Schaefer. I am here to equip you with the belief and energy to make your dreams a reality. Take this time to fill your cup and align with the most vibrant version of you. Welcome back to the Secrets to Alignment podcast with your host, Savannah Schaefer. I am so grateful to be here. I hope that you guys are having the best day ever. This past weekend, I took to, of course, disconnect from social media, but I also went for a hike in Mount Charleston, which is like about an hour out from where I live in Las Vegas. And it was truly so beautiful. I feel like every single time that I decide to disconnect and kind of like get out of the city and really just be off of my phone and just be in nature, I always come back feeling so much more refreshed and inspired. And it actually gives me the time that I need to fully like think through my thoughts and just be very present with myself. It was truly amazing. And I also just wanted to share something as I'm opening up this podcast. Right now with social media, I feel like so many of us are constantly consuming content like 24/7. And I just want to share that one of the best things that I ever did for myself was actually taking myself off of social media on the weekends. And I wanted to give a little bit of a backstory with this because I feel like so often we can get into this mindset thinking that like we have to stay constantly connected, we have to stay constantly available. And it's actually so amazing to take time to just completely be in your own world. Not living online is actually where so much magic happens, I feel like. And personally, I've just realized such a big drastic change in my mental health and also the way that I show up for my business. I was talking with a few clients actually today, and each of them had told me about the way that social media is contributing to their mental health and how it can sometimes make them feel really anxious or have like depressive moments or constantly comparing themselves to others on social media. And I just wanted to make sure that I added this into this podcast episode because I feel like just having those few conversations and honestly seeing the difference that it's made in my life, I really do think that having boundaries around social media can make such a huge difference for you. So allow this to be your sign, allow this to be what you needed to hear here and today, because I really just want the best for you guys. And I want you to be feeling really, really good and creative. And also, like, even if you don't have a business on social media, it's still really good to have boundaries around this because it's good to have discipline, to be honest. Like, it's a disciplinary thing that is going to support you no matter what. Like, if you're going to sleep or you're waking up in the morning getting on social media, you are not going to have a regulated nervous system. You're not going to be in the best place that you could be because you're not going to be tuning into yourself. You're going to be connecting with everyone else and maybe thinking that you're behind, maybe even unconsciously comparing yourself or just kind of seeing where they're at and seeing what they're sharing or whatever. Like, it can really throw us off so much more than we even realize. So I just want to encourage that for anyone who is listening. Okay, now today's episode is going to be a deep dive. We are going to get really, really deep because I've been getting so many questions from you guys and I wanted to answer all of these things. These are questions that I've got like in person with some of my mentees. These are questions that I've got from Instagram and you guys asking on even on YouTube comments and things like that. So I just wanted to stay here and just sit with you guys and enjoy some time sharing a little bit about like where I'm currently at in my life, what I've gone through, where I'm going. I'm sharing all of the things when it comes to future kids, my belief systems, insecurities that I've had in the past, and so much more. So let's go ahead and dive into this. So first and foremost, I feel like this is one that can actually be kind of controversial because a lot of people can use this to separate themselves from other people. And that's the last thing that I want for any of my listeners. But I want to be really, really transparent with you guys. And I want to be honest about my belief systems and the way that I see things personally. And I want to be fully inclusive to every single person that's listening, because at the end of the day, whenever it comes to conversations around like religion or spirituality or whatever, sometimes if other people have differing beliefs than us, we can almost feel like we're really different or like we're separate from one another. But my personal beliefs are that most of us have a clear, good intention to believe in a higher power. And I think that that's actually very needed, especially in today's time and everything that's happening in this world. I feel like having a higher power and knowing that you are connected with something that's bigger than yourself, whether that's God, that's Jesus, whether that's the universe, that's source, whatever that you refer to it as. I truly believe that me allowing myself to really trust in something bigger than me really supported me in taking the pressure off of myself and just thinking that I'm in control 24/7 and that it's only my responsibility to get to the places that I want to go, and knowing that I just have like support and help. You guys have heard me here and there talk about like, I personally believe that I have angels that are on my side. Any of my loved ones who have passed, like I believe that they are supporting me on a daily basis. They're protecting me. They are keeping me safe. And I always believe in God, the universe, source, all of the things, because to me, it all really is one. As long as we're not doing anything in a negative spirit, I truly do believe that we all kind of believe in a similar thing, but we just kind of put different labels on it. And this is like kind of challenging for me to talk about because I never want to offend someone by saying these things. But I just believe that if you believe in what you believe in, I'm going to support you as long as it's of good, kind-hearted spirits and you truly are wanting like just the best for everyone around you and you want to believe the best. I think that I will always support anyone no matter what they call it or they name it or whatever. So I wanted to share this because I've had a lot of people ask me if I've grown up with like religion or what religion that I am. And I really would identify myself as a lot more spiritual. I actually grew up with my dad being Jewish and my mom being Catholic. And then when they came together, honestly, we never really grew up with religion in our household at all. Like we never really talked about God. We didn't talk about any of these things. So I didn't grow up with that foundational belief that there was something else out there. And once I turned 18 years old, that's when I started to discover like the law of attraction, manifestation, and kind of the universe and how energy works together. And I really started to understand things a little bit more. But I also will say, I remember as I was getting into that, I also had a moment in time where I was like, it was really, really hard for me to trust that there was something else on my side. And I was getting these signs like angel numbers and things like that. And I felt like I was being like directed to the path that I am supposed to be on. But I did have some challenging moments where I was like, why are these things happening? Or why aren't things happening the way that I thought that they would? And things like that. And I feel like with going through that, now I've really, really, really deepened my belief the last like 5 years. Yeah, we're in 2025. So the last like 5 years, I've really deepened my belief because I recognize how supportive it actually is. And I have a lot more woo-woo things than I think that a lot of people know about me, but they're all like of light and positivity and just goodness. I feel like sometimes people like when they hear things that are like woo-woo or magical, like I use the word magical a lot. I've been like feeling this recently, so I'm really happy that I'm opening up about it because I feel like sometimes when I use the word like manifest or magical, some people can think that there's like this dark side of spirituality and that's the place that I'm kind of like playing in, and it's absolutely not. And I just want to be so transparent with you guys and just share like where I'm at, what my beliefs are, and just kind of lay it all out there because again, I'm supportive of everyone and I would assume that the people who are listening to this podcast would be supportive of everyone else's beliefs as well, and we're all welcoming and understanding. And yeah. So that was one of the first questions that I got was around my spirituality or religion. Now, next, I feel like one of the hottest topics, like anytime that I'm with my friends or with a client, they're always asking me if I am planning on having more kids. And I am so, so, so excited to bring another child into this world for sure. And it definitely will happen. For the longest time, Ty and I both were kind of on the same page of not having any more kids. I would say for the first like 10 months of Arya's life, we were like, no, we could never imagine doing this all over again. Like, this is so intense. And by the time that she started to really start to like interact with us, I think that we started to understand just like how magical this whole experience is, how great this whole experience is. And we started to really entertain the idea of having another kid. And we've gone back and forth so many different times. But I will say that with where I am currently at, my career right now is really in such a beautiful place. And I do want to welcome another baby into this world, but I do not want to do that at this point in time. So I know it's coming soon in the next couple years for sure. The last couple years, I've had this kind of pressure on me to think about having another kid and keeping these like age gaps really, really close and making sure that my children are going to be in the same schools at the same times. And like all this stuff was kind of starting to overwhelm me. I remember that I was on the phone with my best friend, Kaylee, and I told her that like, I'm wondering, like, do I just need to get it over with? And I remember as those words came out of my mouth, I was like, absolutely not, Savannah. Like, that goes against every single thing that you stand for. Like, I never want to do any action in my life from a place of like, I just want to get it over with. I want to bring a child into this world knowing that I am so ready to slow things down and to be so present and be in the newborn bubble and all of those things. Because the reality is, as women, like, that is I feel like it's something that's not talked about enough. The pressure and knowing that like you have to kind of slow things down, even as men, even for men too, but just knowing that like your life kind of does have to slow down for a little bit. And knowing, I mean, personally, I feel like I was kind of off my A game for a while. I remember when I just had Arya, I remember reading posts of people saying like, after 2 years, like once they're 2 years old, like you'll finally feel like really settled. And I was like, damn, it's going to take 2 years for that. Like, that's a long time. I feel like when I went through the newborn stage and even the first year of her life, like I still stayed really consistent with taking care of myself and prioritizing myself and going to the gym and staying on routines and schedules and all that stuff. But I will say that things did take a lot longer than I expected for me personally to feel like my full self again. And it's crazy, honestly, to look back on, because I feel like in the last like year or so, Arya is about 2.5. I feel like the last year or so is where I've really been back into like the vibrancy of the person that I am. And maybe that's just me getting older and me just getting more grounded within the person that I am today. But it's just interesting. It's interesting how much a child, like bringing a child into this world, as much as it's literally the biggest, best blessing in the entire universe, there still is like a lot to consider of like the timeline of things and when you want to do things and all of that. So I've had this a lot on my mind and in many of my conversations with all of my friends. And like I said, we know that we're going to be doing it in the next couple years. I'm so excited to do that. I would love to have a baby boy. I personally think that I will have a baby boy. That might just be me getting excited, wanting to have like one of each, but I have this feeling that I think it's going to be a boy next. And what's so cute is Ty got his arm like fully sleeved up. He already has like the bottom done, but he just now finished up the top half. And he has these beautiful flowers that go like all throughout the tattoo. And Arya has been like pointing at the flowers, being like, this one is daddy, this one is mommy, and this one's Arya. And then she said, this one is our baby brother. And like every single day now, she's like, that's baby brother, that's baby brother. So it's just really, really cute. I really wonder like what will happen. And I also believe that like kids have like a really, really strong intuition. So we shall see. We shall see what happens and what falls into place. But I am really, really excited to do that. And I know that it'll be coming up here pretty soon. Okay. And then another question that I've been getting about just what I've kind of had to work through and go through and grow through, more specifically throughout this process of entrepreneurship, I've been having a lot of really deep conversations with all the clients that I work with, because I feel like on this journey of entrepreneurship, honestly, it is a spiritual journey. It is something that will allow you to face all of the parts of yourself that you didn't even know existed. You will notice fears and doubts and worries and insecurities actually coming to the surface. The more that you grow, I feel like the bigger beast you kind of have to tame. And oh my gosh, has that been a trip? Like, the more that I talk to the clients that I'm with, every single one of them, I am like, I've absolutely been through that and throughout my journey in some point in time. We all, I feel like, experience very similar things. They might just have different labels. And something that I was just talking with one of my clients about was that she was saying how she's a little bit worried about how she's going to be perceived by others. And I just remember so fully feeling the exact same way of like, I always had this fear of being seen for being my fullest authentic self. And I think that this podcast has really allowed me to do that in a really beautiful space. Like, even me sharing, like at the beginning of this podcast episode, like if you're still listening, obviously, of me sharing about like my beliefs and spirituality and things, like those are really vulnerable things for me to share, to be honest, on like a public platform. And I want to be sharing these things more openly, even me sharing about like my biggest insecurities and stuff. Like, I'm about to get into it, but these are things that used to be really, really hard for me to do. And I honestly just wanted to put on this facade that I had it all together and I have all the answers and that like I am the expert. And I just am no longer playing on that field anymore. Like, I just want people to know that I've absolutely freaking been there, and I may be like a couple steps ahead, but I still have my moments as well. Like, I may have worked through these things, but it doesn't mean that because I've become aware and worked through them that they never ever come up, because that's just not the reality. That's not life. Like, we will all go through different challenges in our lives, and I'm just somebody who likes to be very transparent about that, because I know for me, when I hear other people opening up about the different struggles or the different failures or the different experiences or mistakes that they've made, it really helps me understand that like, it's okay for me to fuck up. It's okay for me to have a bad day. It's okay for me to go through this, because I know that I'm going to get to the other side. And that's really all that matters at the end of the day. So one of the biggest things that I had to work through was this fear of being seen and this fear of being like witnessed, or people talking about me, or thinking that if I show up a specific way that people are going to say that I need to do something else, or me being too much or whatever. Like, I really had to quiet that voice. And honestly, I feel like as I started to work through this, and once I started to become more aware of it, I started to actually experience real life things that also brought this fear to light, that brought this fear of like, oh my gosh, well, this is why we're scared to be seen. And like, oh my gosh, of course they'd think that. And like, it really challenged me to see, like, I feel like every single time that I'm challenged with these little tests, it's either a call to like rise above and to really like shift and change the way that I approach these situations, or I can just stay in the same place and keep accepting that I'm going to experience this exact same experience many times over and over, the same exact lesson, or this belief system of I'm afraid of being seen for who I am. Like, it'll almost reinforce that. So that's again where I have that awareness to be like, no, like, I'm going to recognize this. I'm going to recognize this feeling of me being totally embarrassed for saying something or doing something or someone calling me out on something, and then decide, how do I want to act from here, instead of allowing that thing that I did to totally like spiral me and make me feel like I'm not worthy, or I'm not good enough, or I'm weird, or why would I do that? Like, instead of like getting in my head like that, I just truly do not allow myself to do that anymore. And I feel like that also brings up a really great conversation around awareness. Like, oh my gosh, the power of awareness. I think that I'm going to do a whole podcast about the power of awareness, because I just recognize how important it is to be aware, and everything starts from that point. Like, you can't be consistent, you can't be disciplined, you can't be present, you can't be so much without simply being aware. So we'll do another podcast about that. That's a different thing. But yeah, I feel like one of the biggest kind of challenges that I had to get over was, that fear of being seen. And the more that I wanted to grow, like the more that I wanted to expand my business, the more that I expand my business, or the more that I even expand my following, in my head, this is how I used to equate my success level. So essentially, I used to think that I had to grow a ton on social media in order for me to have like this business that totally pops off. And now I'm really have shifted this belief system because I see people who are extremely successful and they don't have like hundreds of thousands of followers. But with that, in the past, I used to associate, okay, well, I'm going to have a ton more followers. I'm going to see a ton of more eyes. And that manifested in me being like, oh my gosh, like that's going to be me being very seen. Like a lot of people are going to be seeing me. If 100,000 people watch my stories or my TikTok that goes viral or my reel that goes viral or whatever, like that's a really big stage almost that you're on, and that fear of being seen can come up. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're wanting to grow in this way, this might be something for you to look at. Now, a big one around like money beliefs that I had to work through as well was the fear of losing it all. Oh my gosh, this was a really, really deep one, just considering the childhood that I had and the way that like my parents kind of experienced business and things like that. Like if you haven't listened to, I think it's my second episode ever that I kind of tell all about like my personal story and how I perceived things growing up. But essentially, when I moved from when I moved from Ohio to Las Vegas, I was like nine years old. And during that point in time, my dad had lost a huge, like, my dad had lost a lot. And that played into our family dynamic. That played into a lot of stress in our family. There were so many things that were kind of affected by that. If you want to see the full story or you want to hear the full story, go listen to the second episode that I've ever posted. But essentially that fear of losing it all has come up so many times throughout my entrepreneurship journey. And I've really had to like tackle that over and over and over again. And I feel like I finally, the last year, really got to a good place at that. Like I remember April of last year and then going into May of last year, I feel like I really finally like squashed that belief. But it took many years for me to get over that and to realize that, oh my gosh, this is still playing out. Oh my gosh, I'm still fearful of this. And I can't fully trust that I'm going to be supported. I think that was one of the biggest things for me, is that it was hard for me almost to trust that I was going to be supported. Like I would hear all the time in podcasts of like, yeah, like you're worthy of success and you're constantly supported and you're guided and all these things. But it took me so long for me to fully and completely trust in that, because I had this part of me that wanted to fight that for so freaking long based on past experiences that I have. And I was like, well, how can I trust when like this has happened in the past? Or why would I be in the position that I'm in now if I was like quote unquote provided for? And I just remember almost having like a victim mentality about it. And it wasn't like I don't want to say like a strong victim mentality, because I've never really been that way. But there had definitely been moments throughout my entrepreneurship journey, throughout my personal development journey, where these thoughts have come up and I've tried to work through them. And then finally I'm like, oh my gosh, like I really fully understand. And it brings me so much clarity. But that was a really, really big one that I also had to squash and get through as well. Okay, to lighten things up a little bit, I had one of my girlies on Instagram. She was asking me what my dream car is. So this is so funny because one of like the signs that I get like every single day is I'm constantly seeing my dream car, like everywhere that I go. Every single time that I'm in my car, almost every single time, I will say that I see a Mercedes-Benz G-Wagon. And the G-Wagon is just, that's the car that I want. That's the car that I like. That's the car I'm going to have. Aria knows at this point, I'm like, Aria, that's mommy's future car. Like she knows, my whole family knows, like everybody knows that I will be owning that car. And I'm literally so stoked for it. But outside of a G-Wagon, I also love a McLaren P1. Like that's the sporty car that I want. I want a hot pink McLaren P1. So that will also be happening. And I'm sure there's some others too that I'm like not remembering at the moment. But we also, I mean, Ty and I also would love to have like an Escalade or a Tahoe, or not a Tahoe, a Yukon. Yes. Tyler and I would also love to have like a Yukon, like, but I don't know if I'm going to need a Yukon if I have a Mercedes-Benz G-Wagon. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, but that's my dream car. Then I had someone ask me about just how I like living in Las Vegas and how it is raising a family here. And I really like this question because I'm constantly sharing on social media the fact that I live in Las Vegas, and honestly, I love it so much. I love living here. The weather is stunning. The palm trees are beautiful. The sky is always blue. Like, it is just a beautiful place to live. I used to visit here like every single year as a kid. My parents would take us on vacations here, and we all loved it. We loved being at the pools, and my parents loved like the flashy lifestyle and all of the things. And I love the glitz and the glam. I truly love just the place that we live, even in Las Vegas too. Like, the area that we're in is just beautiful. It's honestly one of the best places I feel like that I've ever gone to. Like, any time that I travel away from Las Vegas, I recognize how much I actually truly love it here even more. I will say that I do wish that it was I wish that it wasn't as hot in the summers. The summers definitely do get hot. I think that I'm realizing it more now that I have a baby, because she's just constantly hot, and like getting in the car, it's like literally burning us. But we still love it here, and it's beautiful, and I really can't see myself living anywhere else. The only other place that I could see myself living is maybe Arizona, just because Arizona is almost just like Vegas, just without the strip. But I also love the strip, and I love living here too, because there's always people visiting Vegas. Like, that is one of the best perks ever, is that this is a destination spot. So like, family and friends are always wanting a reason to come here, or they have a reason to come here, and we get to see them on their like vacations, their work trips, things like that. Vegas is a 10 out of 10 in my world. I feel like I just now ran through so much. You guys just got to know me on a much more personal and deep level, and I appreciate you guys listening and being here. If you guys have more questions, I love doing podcast episodes like this, because I love just sharing about different things that I've gone through and experienced and worked through, and all of the things. I just really enjoy these things. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and send me a message on Instagram. I'm always here for it. If you can, please leave me a review on Spotify, on Apple, on YouTube even. That would be so appreciated. You can always rate the show, and that's just gonna allow me to reach more people. And yeah, I'm so grateful for you guys. So thank you for being here, and I will talk to you soon.